Baseball season is here at last, and the excitement continues all season long at DraftKings.com, the official daily fantasy partner of Major League Baseball. Daily fantasy means no season-long commitment. Why wait until the end of the season to claim victory when you can win huge cash every day? Hurry to DraftKings.com now and enter promo code PARDON to play for free. You could win part of the $300 million in prizes being awarded this season. Enter PARDON for free entry now at DraftKings.com. That's DraftKings.com.
Pardon the interruption, but I'm Mike Wilbon. Tony, a 65-year-old German teacher, is pregnant with quadruplets. What would you say to her?
I'm Tony Kornheiser. You're welcome.
What are you, the official welcoming committee? What?
Yeah. 65. Please. That's right in my wheelhouse, too. That's great. Feeling good about that. That's sort of advanced, that fly.
I'm not sure I believe that story. There's going to be a retraction coming on that.
No, I believe it.
I don't believe
He had
that
a last round of 55. He did well in PTI, boys and girls. In today's episode, Russell Westbrook takes 43 shots. The Kings lock their own coach out of the locker room, and Russell Wilson says he'd like to play baseball too. But we begin today with Jordan Spieth winning the Masters wire to wire and tying Tiger Woods for the lowest score ever in that tournament, 18 under. By the way, both Spieth and Tiger were 21 when they did that. And Wilbon, I deliberately put Spieth and Tiger in the same sentence. Are you convinced that Jordan Spieth is the next dominant player in golf?
No. Well, why would I be convinced of that? Dominant, Tony, means singular. Singular. You know, in his time, Michael Jordan was dominant. In his time, Muhammad Ali was dominant. At a point, you know, Mike Tyson was dominant. Singular.
Yeah.
Is Rory McIlroy going away?
No.
Is he taking a 15-year leave? Then no, Jordan Spieth's not going to be dominant, or you can't expect him to. No, he is part of what will be at least a two-person tag team for the foreseeable future, 2-3 years. We don't know what happens when real life interrupts. And we said that's about Tiger when people got too carried away about him. Real life has a way of intruding on some of these sports fantasies. He is a hell of a player. His performance this weekend, one of the great performances in the history of golf. But dominant? No.
I'm going to tell you what I like most about him. I know you don't care about men's hair, but I like the fact that he's losing his hair.
Don't.
I like the fact that he very slyly started brushing his hair as he was walking up 18 to make it look fuller, even though there were 50 million cameras on him. And I like the way he handled all the interviews. He was poised. He was humble. He was a fabulous kid. A fabulous kid. Is he dominant right now? Not with Rory out there, no. But I will say this. You could see it coming with Jordan Spieth. He's a multiple junior winner. Only he and Tiger won the junior tournament more than once. You could see it coming with Tiger. You could see it coming with McIlroy. You heard about these guys. It's like LeBron James. So it's not a surprise, even at a very young age, that he would be this good. But is he dominant?
No.
The only difference with him and McIlroy, here's the possible difference. McIlroy occasionally takes a tournament off here and there, and Spieth, at younger, 3 or 4 years younger than McIlroy, might be a little bit more gung-ho right now, but it's crazy to think he's dominant now.
There's a difference between dominant and brilliant. Jack Nicklaus was brilliant, but he wasn't particularly dominant because he had at the beginning of his career Palmer, and he had Trevino, and he had Gary Player, and he had John Watson. It wasn't dominant.
Well,
you very rarely get to be dominant.
If you look at the record book with Nicklaus and all the majors and all the seconds in majors.
He was better than everybody. He was better, but it doesn't mean he was
dominant.
Those other guys won majors too.
But this kid was great. This kid on Saturday at 18, with that up and down, basically won. Anytime you got close to him, he pulled away.
Right.
He was great.
That's right, he did, Tony.
Yeah.
Obviously, it's impossible to discuss either Spieth's final margin of 18 under or youthful brilliance at Augusta or golf in the greater context without going right to Tiger Woods, who made you giddy. You were just slobbering over yourself because Tiger finished tied for 17th.
Yes, loved it.
It's amazing to me, all these people of your ilk who see this as the beginning of a triumphant return for Tiger, who was over par in 2 of his 4 rounds.
Technicality.
Yeah. Seems Tiger proved to you he can be great again.
You know where I stood on Tiger. I told you I actually thought he could win the tournament.
How'd that work out?
On Friday, I made a bet with our mutual friend Paul Twining, who gave me 4-1. I said Tiger would finish in the top 8 counting ties. And on Saturday, I was feeling pretty good. Now, Sunday, not so much.
You lost the bet.
But if you look at where he was last week, last month, the last 6 months, the fact that he finished T17 and on 2 of those, the middle 2 rounds, was -7 in a major.
Yeah.
That was remarkable. And I think, Mike, now he can win a major. I think Phil can win a major. I would love to have seen Phil in the final group instead of Justin Rose.
Me too.
But I think Tiger and Phil showed you they could still win. Yes.
No, they showed you that they're old lions who have been greater than all these young pups for more than a decade, encroaching on 2 decades.
That's right.
It shows you that's it, Tony. Look, Tony, the story's moved on. And I know, again, you know where I stand on this. My list: Ali, Jordan, Tiger. I've lied for years. I can't come to your graduation. I can't come to your wedding. I can't do this for you. I can't even go to work because I'm watching Tiger.
That's why nobody invites you anymore.
But it's over in that way, Tony. The story has moved on.
Not over.
He's 40 years old. And, Tony, he got beat by 7 strokes yesterday by Rory.
Yeah.
What are you watching?
By the #1 player in the world, he got beat by a bunch of strokes. Look,
where's the bar for Tiger?
First
it's
of
not
all,
down here.
I bet you didn't know he graduated from medical school, that he was a surgeon, and he could pull a joint out of his own finger and stick it back in. The fact of the matter is, he has come so far as a chipper and a putter. The only thing he did really poorly was driving the ball. He can't win other majors if he's going to be that errant. But if he fixes that driver, he's going to be in contention.
I saw Rory make eagle. Tiger had the same putt.
Going to be in
pushed
contention.
it, Tony, the story's moved on. You're old. You don't want to let it go. I know you don't.
The NBA today rescinded the technical foul that Russell Westbrook drew yesterday. That would have been Westbrook's 16th official technical this season, one over the legal limit. And had it stood, Westbrook would have been automatically ineligible for Oklahoma City's game tonight against Portland. OKC is fighting for its playoff life against New Orleans. Wilbon, did the NBA make the right call rescinding that technical?
Tony, this is a tough one. I was watching this last night and yesterday afternoon out here in the desert. It wasn't a technical. A technical was not earned there. The problem with this is not even the first time they've rescinded one.
That's right.
2 weeks ago, here in Phoenix, I'm sitting courtside in the first 2 minutes of the game. Russell Westbrook gets a technical. And I remember jumping up out of my seat saying, what? That's not a technical. Still, because you've got 15, people look at you now and say you're a loose cannon, and Russell Westbrook's judgment is the only thing you can question about him at this stage. Tony, he's lucky they rescinded this because they were going to lose to Portland if Westbrook's not in that game tonight, and now they get a reprieve. If I'm the New Orleans Pelicans, I'm angry as hell.
It looks like your boy Adam Silver showed up for work today for the first time in about 6 months, found a bunch of stuff on his desk, and decided to act on something. Russell Westbrook gets technicals because he's an obnoxious player, because he's a chesty player, and he gets right up with officials, and they tee him up because they don't like him. In this particular case, the NBA has done something bad. They have acted with extreme prejudice in favor of Oklahoma City, in favor of Russell Westbrook. They took a star over a referee, and that's what they have done, because they decided we're going to make sure that whoever gets to the playoffs gets in on the court, because they can't win without him against Portland.
They can't.
So we're going to take the easy way out. We're going to rescind this. He leads the league in technicals. It's the 17. Not 16. He gets them rescinded all the time.
Tony, he probably leads the league in rescinded technicals.
Yes.
Again, the tough thing for me is I'm sitting courtside for one of them. It wasn't a tech. It just wasn't. And they rightly took it back. But when you have it happen twice, what this says to Westbrook, and what it ought to say, again, the only thing you can question about him, and he's not going to be the MVP, and he can't be, is his judgment. You can't do this, Russell, even if it's borderline. He didn't earn the check yesterday. It wasn't deserved.
He brings it on himself.
He has, Tony.
Does.
He has, and they're going to win that game tonight by about 40 over Portland. Tone, votes for the big NBA awards are due in about 48 hours, maybe 72 hours, soon, including Executive of the Year. And the Atlanta Hawks, who have a conference-high 60 wins, #1 seed, have nominated one of their own for that award. You might think that would be GM in exile Danny Ferry, who would have to come out of hiding to accept if victorious, but no. The team has named head coach Mike Budenholzer as said executive. Tone, would you vote for Coach Bud knowing it was Ferry who put this team together?
I wouldn't vote for Mike Budenholzer or Bob Budenholzer or Bill Budenholzer for this. I'm not going to do that. Danny Ferry is the general manager of this team who put this team together. Are you kidding me with this? You nominate this other guy? I mean, you do this because Ferry is in witness protection at the moment because he's sitting there with the covers pulled up over his head and a flashlight on a computer doing a Google search for Danny Ferry fired. But this is outrageous. Outrageous.
Well, Tony, I don't know if it's outrageous. I mean, people just aren't. I don't know if you can vote for them this way for Atlanta. First of all, Atlanta's team was already put together. You want to give them Executive of the Year, it's sort of, retro for a year. Teague, Millsap, Horford, Carroll, Korver, Schroeder.
Who did
Mike
that?
Scott.
Who put those guys there?
Danny Ferry did,
that's
Tony.
who did it.
But you know what, Tony? It wasn't even this year. This team's been together for 2 years. So, again, David Griffin's who I am voting for. I do have a vote because in this season, in this year, in 2015, he made 2 deals that brought them Mozgov and Smith and Shumpert. And so, to me, this is like a moot point.
The crux of the issue isn't who you're going to vote for. The crux of the issue is that
Atlanta
is nominating this particular fella who is the coach, not the GM. This would be like if you went in your garage and you suddenly uncovered an original Picasso, and it looked a little dull to you, so you put a little red paint on it and then signed your name on the bottom as if you had painted this thing.
You wouldn't do that? Imagine how much money.
This is not, nobody would pay for my painting. This is nonsense. And again, Adam Silver should say, whoa.
Stop with Adam Silver.
Wake up.
Really?
Well,
you were so obsessed.
Have you heard this story about your boy, Darryl Sutter, today's coach, maybe, of the Los Angeles Kings, who didn't make the playoffs this year? According to Larry Brooks of the New York Post, Sutter is held in such disregard by his players that they recently locked him out of their locker room, barricaded the locker room, and then left the locker room before Sutter could find his way in. The Kings GM has confirmed this story, disputing only which game it was. Wilbon, what is Sutter's future there?
Well, Tony, you know what's interesting? I mean, guys go deep in the playoffs in the sports, particularly in the NHL, and they can get fired. And they might fire him in the NHL's recent history. We can find somebody in the playoffs getting fired as the playoffs begin. So his future there, I mean, he's got a contract. They've won 2 Stanley Cups, Tony, and been to the conference final, I believe, another time. 2 Stanley Cups in 4 years. So, I mean, if you want to say, wait a minute, we had a bad year, but we don't win back-to-back, we sort of alternate, you just bring them right back. Look, in the NHL and the NBA in particular, guys get tired of their coach.
Yeah.
They do stuff because they're upset. They act out. Their contracts are guaranteed. It's not the NFL.
Sutter said basically today that this stuff happens a lot and it's not so bad. I never heard of this before. I never heard of locking a guy out and barricading the doors. I mean,
never heard of a barricade.
It's undeniable that Sutter knows how to coach because, as you say, in a 4-year period of time, okay, he missed this year, which is rare for a Stanley Cup champion, but he won 2 and got to the conference finals in the 3rd year. I think you have to find out, is there a ringleader? If there is a ringleader or a few ringleaders, you have to put them in a room with Sutter and see if you can iron it out. The problem is, if it's half the team, that's the tipping point, Mike. I mean, if there's just so many guys, then you got to fire them. Then you got to fire them.
That team is so good, Tony, over the last few years. If you got 3 or 4 guys, and they're the important guys in the room, and they say, get him out of here.
Then you got to get him out.
Or you have to figure out over the summer how you sort of come to some sort of meeting.
The GM said it happened a while back, and after that they won 8 in a row. So is it because of Sutter, or is it in spite of rebellion? How do you know?
That's a rebellion. Yeah, wait a minute. You covered baseball teams where players wanted to throw Billy Martin out, and they would win anyway, right?
It happens. And he stayed. He was fired and rehired 8 times. Let's take a break. But coming up, Tom Brady throws out the first pitch at a Red Sox game. Shouldn't that pitch have been better?
And how hard should we be on the kid goalie who botched the championship game for BU?
Did you see that? That's bad. That was not good.
Baseball season is here at last, and the excitement continues all season long at DraftKings.com, the official daily fantasy partner of Major League Baseball. Daily fantasy means no season-long commitments. Why wait until the end of the season to claim victory when you can win huge cash every day? Hurry to DraftKings.com now and enter promo code PARDON to play for free. You could win part of the $300 million in prizes being awarded this season. Enter PARDON for free entry now at DraftKings.com. That's DraftKings.com.
We already know the intern can hotwire Wilbon's car. Now let's see if she can pick 4 great issues. I will get the first one here.
How fast did you have my car going?
Watch Furious 9.
Yeah.
Spurs have won 11 straight. If you had to bet one of your houses on it, would you take them or the Warriors in the West?
The Spurs. I mean, I love the Warriors. I can't wait to see the Warriors. The Warriors are must-see TV. But at the Spurs, You see Tim Duncan the other night have like 29 and 7 and blocks Harden to win the game. Tony, if they're healthy and out there, and they all seem to be just about, but they do need Thiago Splitter, I'm not going against the Spurs. You're just playing stupid, to quote our friend Charles Barkley, if you go against the Spurs.
You know, I understand the mythology of the Spurs, and I know that Duncan and Ginobili and Parker, they're all going to the Hall of Fame. And I can look at the bunch up in the West between 2 and 6, but look at one in the West. One in the West is the Warriors.
They're out there.
They've won 10 more games this year than the Spurs.
Yeah.
They have been the best team in the NBA all season long.
You taking them?
Yes, I'm taking them. I'm not, no disrespect to the Spurs, but they've established themselves, the Warriors, as the best team so far. Mike, they're the best.
Tone, the Spurs have established themselves as the best team in basketball over the past how many years?
Yeah. Not this year, Mike.
I'd love to see that as a Western Conference Finals. I need them to finish second.
Do you really believe Russell Wilson would play 2 sports?
Of course. I mean, you listen to names like Brian Jordan and Dion and Michael Jordan and Elway and Bo Jackson. I mean, look, he tells my idol Bryant Gumbel this in an upcoming episode
How many idols you got?
Real Sports. He's my journalistic idol.
Oh, my God.
That he's going to play
We're going 12 deep on your idols.
And, Tony, I mean, why would he not do it? He can do it when he's a clipboard guy. He can do it when he's about to retire. He can play 2. Why wouldn't he? If I just named a bunch of guys who played 2.
Right.
Let's play 2, Ernie Banks.
And most of those guys were significantly better in one than in the other. Dion, no, and Bo Jackson, no. They are rare birds, those two. Russell Wilson hasn't been very good in baseball so far. Nowhere near as good as he's been in football. If he was that good, teams would be clamoring to have him. Maybe this is a contract ploy to get even more money from Seattle, because he's a great quarterback, Mike. He's a great quarterback. But, Tony, he can play baseball. You didn't say win. It could be minor league baseball, too. He can, I mean, 2 sports he can do. Let's get to another idol of yours. Wouldn't you expect Tom Brady to throw out a better first pitch?
Well, you look at this, and first of all, I'm expecting, he must be promoting something with that 5, like the 5th ring. I'm expecting him to be dressed better. And then, look, I mean, I threw out a better ceremonial first pitch in Wrigley Field than Brady, who would have hit a left-handed batter here. And he's the golden boy. He was an actual potential, speaking of 2 sports, real professional baseball player. He probably hasn't thrown a baseball in 20 years.
He's a quarterback, and he fits it into Gronk among 3 defenders. So I would have thought...
Gronk's a lot bigger than Poppy.
I would have thought that he would get a better pitch there. I looked at that 5 thing, and I know it's convenient to say that that's for a 5th ring. I'm wondering if Giselle hasn't signed on with Chanel number 5, and it's a huge...
That would be okay, too. But that's why he didn't wear the jersey, right? Unless is he loyal to the A's or the Giants because he's from Northern California?
He's loyal to him. He's the coolest guy out there.
He's got a logo. That pitch wasn't very cool, though.
Is it fair to blame the goalie for BU losing the NCAA hockey title?
Well, Tony, when you look at this goal allowed, where he catches it, and then seems to not know where it is. Not seems not to know. He doesn't know because he says he doesn't know. And I know there was a great remorse, but he did something like this earlier in the tournament where he just like left the puck laying out there.
Yeah,
I mean, Tony, I either feel alternately bad for the kid or I'm saying, what the hell's going on here?
What do you think? You think there's something nefarious going on?
I'm asking. I'm not saying, I'm just saying.
That's a cop-out. I think you're saying something. Look, if you're not going to blame him, who are you going to blame? Danny Ferry? Who are you going to blame?
You guys got Silver.
The guy's got it in his hand,
Silver,
and then
not
suddenly it's trickling into the goal.
You got to blame him, right?
They're up by 1 with 8 minutes to go. They end up losing.
You want an investigation? Or you going to pat him on the back and give him an orange slice?
That's what. Is he a college kid? Don't you always say that's how you feel about students? Don't you always say that?
They're kids. They're not
female. Let's take one last break, but still to come. Darrelle Revis lashes out at Patriots fans on Instagram, or does he? He says he was hacked. Should we believe him? No.
And a runner from Oregon starts his celebration a wee bit too soon.
Oh, that guy looks like a dope. He gets edged out, doesn't he?
There's lots of dopes out there.
That's a bad look for that kid.
Lots of dopes.
But he's a college kid. I'm not blaming him. Happy time, people. Happy 29th birthday, Lorenzo Cain. The Kansas City Royals center fielder became a defensive star in the playoffs last year. Just this past week, Cain made another great catch, and as of this morning, Cain was batting .417 for the undefeated Royals.
Tony, defensively, I got him up there with Paul Blair, Amos Otis, Ken Griffey Jr., Jim Edmonds. Is he with Mays?
Oh,
you saw Mays.
Sacrilege. That's insane. Bite your tongue. No. Happy anniversary, Bubba Watson. On this day last year, you beat Jordan Spieth for your second green jacket in 3 years. Spieth, though, has only played in 2 Masters, and at the end of each 18 holes in his 8 rounds, Spieth has never been below 5th place.
Tony, Bubba Watson has been pretty darn good over the last few years, yet people don't celebrate him. They don't even talk about him this weekend.
No, it wasn't his weekend. It really wasn't. Everyone was watching Tiger and Spieth. Happy trails to the win for this Oregon runner. Watch as the Oregon runner starts calling to the crowd to applaud his inevitable victory in the steeplechase. But to his right, a runner from rival UW flies past him for the victory. So much for premature celebration, right?
Tone, I don't know whether if that was my son to pat him on the butt or whack him on it. I mean, what a dope to do something like that. You do it like I tell Matthew, concentrate on what you're doing. Finish what you're doing.
You are a harsh dad sometimes. No errors today. We are bad men.
We are.
And we go to the big finish.
Cardinals
coach Bruce Arians says he could see a woman coaching in the NFL. Could you?
Yeah, Tone. Becky Hammond coaches the Spurs right now. I can see a coach starting in the assistant ranks. Yeah.
That's a different culture, though, football and basketball.
Totally different. I agree with you. Daryl Waltrip asked Danica Patrick if she would marry Ricky Stenhouse, and she said yes. Is that legally binding?
Maybe in some states or foreign countries. And what is Waltrip doing? What was he, a matchmaker? Is it Hello Dolly?
Waltrip seems like a cut-up. He seems like a fun guy to hang around with.
Justin Verlander will throw a simulated game on Wednesday. Is that cause for optimism?
Yes, Tony. You want him in there, even if you are 6-1, a pretty good start for the Detroit Tigers. Darrelle Revis says he did not rip Patriots fans on Instagram. He was hacked. I believe him, don't you?
No, not necessarily. I think everybody says they were hacked, and then 2 weeks later, you find out they weren't hacked. They did everything themselves. You love it when players rip fans, don't you?
I do. I like it a lot.
The Kentucky Derby has banned selfie sticks and drones. Is that okay with you?
Tone, this is such a shot at millennials. I love this. Get the selfie sticks out. They should be banned everywhere.
Get drones out of America, by the way. We're out of time. We'll try and do better the next time. I'm Tony Kornheiser.
I'm Mike Wilbon. Same time tomorrow, Knuckleheads. Check out the PTI podcast on iTunes. It's up all night, Tone. Stay awake.
I'll stay up. Dr. Bud Giblin, shout out. Seriously, get rid of drones.
No, they're fun.
ESPN Radio.
With the action on the court, the diamond, or the gridiron.
Comes alive.
The NBA.
The San Antonio Spurs are the world champions.
Major League Baseball.
San Francisco Giants are the champions of the baseball world.
The new college football playoff.
College football playoff national champion, the Ohio State Buckeyes.
Your home for the best in sports play-by-play.
ESPN Radio.